So there has been discussion this past week with Justin Fields playing really well against the Atlanta Falcons as to whether or not the Bears should decide to stick with him for his fourth season instead of using the first overall pick that they have from the Panthers to potentially draft Caleb Williams or Drake May. And so I want to show you here what Dan Orlovsky of ESPN had to say in answering the question, should the Bears stick with Fields or draft a QB with the number one overall pick? So here's Orlovsky's answer. My answer, I have no idea. I honestly don't know, and I think this is going to be by far the most fascinating thing that happens with the NFL from end of season to off season. Okay, so a couple things. Number one, if your whole premise or reasoning to take the quarterback at number one and get rid of Justin Fields is to reset the financial market, that is the wrong reason. Who's going to be the better player? Do you think Justin Fields or whoever you're going to take, either Caleb Williams or Drake May at number one? Who's going to be the better player? It should not be about just resetting the financial thing. I look at it like this, and I've said this for a long time. Very rarely do quarterbacks who get taken number one by bad organizations flip bad organizations into good ones. Let me give you the last 10 quarterbacks who've been taken number one, and you make the judgment whether that organization has been flipped or not. Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Jameis Winston, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Sam Bradford. I would say that only one of those guys has definitely flipped a bad organization to good. That's Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Now Cam did it in Carolina. We have way more evidence in the NFL that the model of Baltimore, Kansas City, or Buffalo, where you build your football team and then you go get your quarterback. Baltimore traded up to the last pick in the first round to go get Lamar. Kansas City traded up to go get Patrick. Buffalo traded up to go get Josh Allen. We have a lot more evidence of that. Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick. Dak Prescott is a fourth-round pick because they had good rosters. Then go get the quarterback rather than quarterbacks just solving everything. So I sit here initially, and I think you got to think long and hard about getting rid of Justin Fields. So I guess he's comparing those first-round guys or those number one overall guys and saying that just because the Bears, if they were to bring in, let's say, Caleb Williams or Drake May, that doesn't automatically make them a successful team. It's not going to suddenly flip this team and take them from bad to good. And I think that when you look at this decision that the Bears have to make, there's so many different factors. When you look at that first overall pick, the fact that clearly they could take Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever they could see as the best quarterback in this draft class. But at the same time, if they like what they've seen from Justin Fields and think that he's taken enough strides forward in his third season, they can trade away the number one pick and get a haul of draft picks, probably at least 2 first-round picks, definitely more than that in my opinion. And so when you look at Justin Fields, I think that he did play really well last week against the Falcons. He had a really good game, but still, in his past 7 games, he has 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. If you look at his stats from last season to this season, they're not that much better. He has about the same passer rating, which is 23rd this season in the NFL. And so in my opinion, Justin Fields is still a slightly below average quarterback. I think he's probably around 20 in my book. He's shown some nice things at times, but I still think he's very inconsistent. And I think the Bears have to make the decision and figure out whether they think their team overall will be better if they decide to move on from Fields and draft a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. And the question the Bears have to ask is, do they think Fields is better than Caleb Williams or Drake May, or do they think he's safer because they've seen his development over the past few seasons? Or if, let's say, Caleb Williams or Drake May in their book is much better than Justin Fields, I think you have to use that first-round pick on a quarterback. And so they're probably trying to figure out, okay, will this team be better overall if we trade the draft pick, keep Justin Fields, and are able to bolster the offensive line, able to maybe add some more players on the defensive line, the secondary? Is their team going to be more competitive for the long haul, keeping Justin Fields around? And I think that he could, if he has a really good team around him, if they can improve the defense, make that a lot better, maybe add some pieces in the secondary, maybe add some guys on the defensive line. Maybe if you trade away that first-round pick, this team can sustain success. And I think if Justin Fields can at least be a mid-tier quarterback, if you can build around the rest of the team and add some more receivers, add some more defensive players, there's no doubt this team is going to get better. And so it is a big decision the Bears have to make. And right now, if I had to make a decision for the Bears, I would use a number one pick on a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. I just think it's been 3 seasons for Justin Fields, and in his 3 seasons, he's still been inconsistent. He has taken strides forward. I think he's been a little bit better this season. Was really good last week against the Falcons, but I still think 3 years in, I would have liked to see more from Fields at this point to really sell me on him being the future. And when you also take into account that you do get a reset with the contract, if you see Fields and Caleb Williams in a similar light, why not take the younger quarterback, because you do save a lot of money? On the other hand, you're missing out on lots of other players you could draft if you trade that number 1 pick, but it is going to be a big decision for the Bears to make this offseason. If you want more NFL content like this, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.